I'm back finally, you guys. It has been a month and a half and I have no excuse other than I'm on summertime. So I've got a month and a half worth of stuff to update you on. We're in the middle of the school year, so just talking about work stuff. I am on summer break from my high school job, but I am still actively teaching when it comes to my adjunct college stuff. I have 2 classes, actually one just finished yesterday, and I'm in the process of grading all the things and finalizing those grades. So still working, just not in the same aspect as what it was during the school year. And I will tell you, my attention span is like nil right now because summer is that time where I get to decompress, and instead of having very regimented things that I have to get done and accomplished, I get to relax more. I get to kind of go where the wind takes me. So I don't have a whole lot of progress on the things that I have set goals for myself for, like all of my cross stitch projects and things like that. I don't think I hit my June goal on any of them at all. Not a single one, I don't think. We'll go through them in a little bit. A lot of that has to do with the fact that I got sidetracked by some new shiny things. I finished 2 objects. We'll talk about those in a minute. I have started another project. I restarted a project, and I've got a lot of stuff to talk about. So let's start out talking about some of the finished things. One of the items I was able to get knocked off of my big goal list for the entire year. Back for my New Year's resolution, one of the things that I had said is I have a bunch of things that I need to get completed. I have procrastinated on, I shoved it in a corner, whatever it may be, but I need to get it done. And so I have this big to-do list basically for the year. Am I going to get all of it done? No. But it at least gives me some goals to work towards. And so one of the things that was on my goal list was I had 3 pairs of socks that I have had on the needles now for 4 or 5 years. Yeah, I know. One of those was a pair for me. A second was another pair for me. Seeing a trend here. Another was for my nephew, and I think I have that one like a quarter of the way through. I have the other pair for me like a quarter of the way through, but I had one that was closer to being done. And so at the beginning of the summer, beginning of June, I was like, I'm gonna knock one of these pairs of socks out right now. So that's exactly what I did. I knocked it out. So here we are. I have a finished pair of socks. This is out of Blue Mule Fibre, Fleck U, and it is in Zuni Dragonfly. It is this beautiful speckled kind of yarn, and I just absolutely adore the color from this yarn. It's part of the reason why I bought it. I bought it at the Houston Fiber Fest in 2019, and I pretty much cast on the first sock in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. I've got all the info on my Ravelry page. You can see it there. But I decided when I started this that I was going to try a new kind of heel to me. I've done Fish Lips Kiss heels, I've done Afterthought heels, but I had never done a German short row heel, and so I wanted to try it out. And that is what I accomplished here. I have a German short row heel. I will say, casting these on so long ago, I was a much tighter knitter at that point in time. So once I finished with the one sock and I started the second sock, this sock, as you can tell, is a lot looser than this one is. They're both kind of loose. They both feel kind of like slippers, if you will. Yes, I've worn them since I finished them. I never did block them. I've got them on blockers, but I never did block them. And I probably will block them just to see if I can get them to shrink just a little bit. Maybe block them, then throw them into the dryer a little, just to tighten them up, because they are pretty loose overall, but I kind of like it like that. They are great socks for sitting in my recliner with my heating blanket on and reading my books, which that's been another thing that has sidetracked me a lot this past month. I have been on a reading binge like you would not believe. I have finished 3 books so far this month, and for me, with all of the other things that I've got going on, 3 books is pretty good. So, but socks, check, finished, done. And so I need to work on getting another one of those pairs done. I probably will do that in August, probably when I'm sitting through some professional development and I need something to keep my hands busy while I'm listening. I am one of those people that I do better when I have my hands actively working on something, especially like a sock where I'm just going round and round and round. And it's pretty easy and I don't have to think about it. So I think that might be happening in August, but we'll see. So let's move into the second finished object. And you guys, it's the elephant in the room. This is this item that I'm wearing right here. This lovely corner to corner cocoon cardigan from HanJan Crochet. Let me tell you a little bit about how this came about, because this was nowhere on the radar. This is a brand new start to finish. Started it in June, finished it just about a week later in June. It was flying off of the hook, and it caught my attention because there are 3 crochet designers that put out a Bridgerton collection and started a crochet along in June to coincide with the Bridgerton release. They are MJ's Off the Hook Designs, there's HanJan Crochet, and Brianna K. And so they came together, they produced these designs, and they are hosting a crochet along. Well, in the process of looking at all those designs, I was looking at some of their other stuff. I've done a lot of things from MJ's Off the Hook Designs in the past, so her work was pretty known to me. I've seen a lot of Brianna K designs, but I was exposed to HanJan Crochet through this. And so I started looking through her patterns that she has, and she just released in, I want to say it was either late April or May, the pattern for this cocoon cardigan. And it immediately caught my attention, and I said, oh my gosh, I need to make that. I knew I probably could go through my stash and I could probably find something that would work, but I wanted to make sure that I was supporting my new local yarn store to the Cypress, Texas area that just opened up in June, called Craftique Studios. And so I went in on their very first day open, their soft opening launch day, with this in mind, and headed straight for the area that I knew would be the weight yarn for this and picked it out. I wanted something in a neutral color that I could throw on with anything. I didn't want anything bright. And you'll notice that I don't tend to gravitate towards bright colored things. You wouldn't know that from looking at the colors of things that I have in like sweater quantities, but for this, I wanted it to be able to be worn with multiple different things. So I went with this medium gray color. And this is Cascade yarns in the Sarasota line. It is a DK weight yarn, and I ended up purchasing 4 balls of yarn that day, and then realized I'm probably going to need one more if I want to make the collar as much as I do. I ended up doing kind of an in-between size. In the pattern, she has small, medium, and then she has large, extra large, and they go together. So there's 2 different sizes. And I felt like the bigger one, I mean, that'd be great and flowy and awesome, but I felt like it might be too much for the amount of yarn I had, and I didn't want to eat up too much of my yarn. I didn't want to have to go back and get a 6th ball of yarn. So I just made my square, my corner to corner square, as big as I felt like I wanted it, and seamed it up and tried it on, and I love the fit. So I finished this up about 2 weeks ago, and I haven't blocked it. I did not follow her instructions to block the square before you seam it up. I just went for it. I have not even woven in the ends. I have just been wearing it like it is. Just letting the threads hang where they will, because I've really only been wearing it around the house. It's 100 degrees in Southeast Texas right now. I'm not wearing it outside of the house. So I have been just being comfy and cozy while I'm working on other things. And I absolutely love that it is a shorter sleeve with the cocoon. It leaves my wrists free. It leaves me able to move perfectly fine. And I just absolutely love it. So let me stand up and show you the full thing. This is the cocoon cardigan. It is corner to corner. It is made with one large corner to corner square. And then you take it and you seam up. Let me see where I'm at, if you can see a good seam. Here's a pretty good one. So you seam up 2 of the sides. So like here is one of the corners of the work. And you seam up like 3/4 of the way. And then where it's open is where your armhole is located. And so, like I said, I have not even woven in the ends. They're kind of just tucked in to stay out of the way. There's one up here at the top. And then you add in a shawl collar around the entire thing. And then you use that same stitch around the wrist area, the armhole area. And that is it. I have found that I may need to add in like a tag or something on what is the inside, because I keep putting it on inside out and then flipping it thinking that, okay, I need to flip it the other way, and then find out, no, that's not right either. And it's because of where the seam is. So right now I'm not going to fuss with it too much, but I think even right now I've got this on inside out. Yeah, I do. And it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly acceptable the way that it is. It doesn't really matter too much. The only person that's going to be upset about seeing a seam is me. So it is what it is. So there we go. This is, again, the corner to corner cocoon cardigan from HanJan Crochet. And I started this and finished this all within the month of June with my brand new yarn from my new local yarn store. All right, so let's transition into some let's go into some works in progress. Let's start out with our cross stitch stuff first. Let's talk about the items that I did not even touch. The first thing, I have not touched my poisonous plants cross stitch. I didn't even look at this. I didn't pull it out of the bag, nothing. It is still exactly the way I left it. I will work on it this month. I'm just not there mentally. One thing that did happen though with this particular pattern has to deal with markup RXP. I saw somebody else mention that witchy stitcher patterns do not fit well with Markup RXP. And somebody on Reddit had posted about how they went about fixing that. And so I was playing around with it and ended up losing all of my progress of all of my marked stitches. So I know personally I'm still at the same part because I haven't stitched on it at all. The problem is I've got to go through now and I've got to mark off all the stitches that I did before and fix that. And I don't want to. So yeah, that'll probably have some work done in July, but I've got through September to get that done, and it moves pretty dang fast. So I will probably end up doing it all in September, to be real honest. All right, let's move on to the next thing that I didn't touch. And I'm kind of heartbroken I didn't touch this one because I really wanted to. But I didn't. I think the last stitches I put in this were in May, and you may not have seen it at that point because I was still working through, if I'm not mistaken. That is the Boreal Color Supersize Max Color from Stitches So Beautiful on Etsy. I love the pattern. This is what it will look like. And this is where I am. I don't remember where I left off showing you this. I didn't go back and see, but my goal for this month, I'm at 1.09 currently. For July, I would like to get to the 2% that I wanted to have done for June. I'd like to get there. I should be able to get there pretty fast because it's a lot of like block color stitching. So my hope is to get to that point in the month of July. I didn't touch it in June at all. Kind of devastated by that, to be real honest, because I do love it. I just ran out of time. All right, next up we have the Grand Butterfly Ball. With the Grand Butterfly Ball, I started this on 32 count, easy count Lugana. I started it back in March. I talked about in previous episodes about how I felt like the 2/1 tent stitch was just a little too thick. I wasn't real happy with it. And how I had talked to other people and they said, that's fine, switch over to 1/1 tent. And I did that and I didn't like the coverage. So I think in the last video I was talking about how I was thinking I would probably change to a 28 count, and that's exactly what I did. So this was a complete start over. I started this pattern completely over on 28 count, and I had thought that my goal would be 2%. I did not get there. I did get to 1%, which catches me up to where I was. But that's it. I am doing on this one, I am doing 2/1, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check and see, make sure I'm saying right. Yeah, 2/1 tent stitch. I am liking the coverage on this, and I've got to say, I think 28 count might be my preferred at this point. I want to keep going a little further before I like fully say yes, 28 count is it for me, but I'm loving it so far. So how am I working this? I am not working this like Royal Rose. I am not working this in any kind of order other than color and whatever is next, and just flowing wherever it goes. I'm just kind of going with whatever tickles my fancy. at the moment, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I love it. I love that this part is starting to pop through. I've got that whole corner done. I've worked across, I've worked down, and there's a fairy that is in here. Right here where you can see some of the light green colors. Those are some fairy wings there. So I am absolutely adoring this. I need to do some more on it in the month of July. We'll see how much I get done. So if I'm at 1%, I think I will probably set a goal of 2%. So another one with a 2% goal in place. We will see if that actually happens, but let's go for it. All right, next up is my biggest piece of all, which is my Grand Library Supersize Max Color by Amy Stewart. It is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. And I had set a goal for myself of hitting 4.5% by the end of June. Did not even get close to that. I was already behind because May's goal was 4% and I didn't even hit that in May, nor did I hit that in June. I did get a lot of work on it though. I did do a lot on this. So here we are. We are at 3.85%. I only got in 0.12% in the month of June. That's it, but that's okay. I got to fill in this bottom area right here, and I made the decision at that point in time that because I finished filling this in, instead of going on and starting the next row, I had other stuff that I needed to get done, so I was just going to stop there for the month. I made a conscious decision to do that, and I'm okay with it. So here we are. This is the Grand Library Supersize Max Color, and I love it still. I would like to finally get to 4%. Let's do something a little more attainable in the month of July. So I'm going to put it back at 4%, and we'll see how far we can get on that. I don't know how much time I'm actually going to have available through this month. And that has to do with the fact that we've got vacation planned for the end of July. So everything that I do has to be done at the beginning of the month, the middle of the month. And also keeping in mind that I am doing side stuff work-wise to be able to earn up more vacation money. I like to be able to have like a stockpile to be able to go on vacation and do all the things. And so I've been doing some delivery driving just to put towards vacation money. So that eats into my craft time as well too. All right, let's talk about the very last cross stitch pattern that I was working on. And this is my one that I have a really lofty year goal set in place. It is one of my longest cross stitch projects. I absolutely love it, and I have been seeing some people finishing theirs that started it in 2020, and I want to get so much further in this, and I haven't. I didn't pick it up till a couple days ago for the month of June. So I had a goal set to get to 23% for the month of June. I'm only at 18.47. I only got 0.16% done in the month of June. That's okay. I've just got to do some catching up. So this has been my focus project for the last couple days. It'll continue being my focus project for the next couple of days. Haven't touched it today at all because I wanted to make sure I had everything set up to record. But once I finish recording this, I'm going to start working on it. So without further ado, here we are. This is the Magic Study. Rose Con is the artist, and it is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is a limited edition chart. It is not available. It hasn't been available for several years, and it is out of print. And Rose Kahn was retired from Heaven and Earth Designs anyway. So she is with other companies now. Maybe one day they will have this chart back out, but it is my absolute favorite. This is what it'll look like when it is done. And I am working this section right up here, that little green section. So my overall goal for the year is to hit 30% on the Magic Study. Not even close, haven't even hit 20%. So this is gonna need a lot of work to get there, but we're gonna keep going. So it is what it is. All right, so let's move into some yarn related works in progress. We're gonna start with continuing works in progress, and then we're gonna talk about a new cast on. So I've got 2 projects that I have goals on for, I'll call it the year, but one of them is specifically for September because it is the knit along for DFW Fibre Fest. It's the Thisaway Shawl by Carissa Browning. That's what it'll look like. And so the goal is to have this completed, blocked, ready to wear for DFW Fibre Fest, which is in September. So I had originally had a goal down to have it completed by the end of August. So September I could block it and not be rushed, but I am already behind. I'm already behind everything. I did find that I had to rip out some stuff because I was not reading the pattern well. And I had to rip out about 40 rows. So not the whole thing. I was able to rip it out and pick it back up and repeat it, but I lost some time with that. So this is where I am at with the Thisaway Shawl. I am in the middle of a repeat right here. You can see it goes from these really tiny stripes into a big stripe, and then it goes back down to tiny stripes and then back through a big stripe, and one whole repeat alternates going from small to big to small, and then it's like the color order flips and it goes small to big, big to small. So I'm like right in the middle of the big section, and it'll go back down. So that'll be 2 of the big repeats, and I think I need 3 big repeats to get to the number of stitches I need to move on to the next section. So this is being made out of Suburban Stitcher yarn in her sock bases. It is her 75/25 merino nylon, and it is in the color Melancholy. And then the other is in the colorway Antique. So very nice neutral kind of colorway, can go with anything. I figured that that would be something I would probably wear more than anything else. And it is not the same kind of colorway that a lot of my shawls end up being, which is like mauves, pinks, maroons. Pretty much most of my shawls are in those colorways. So I went with a fully neutral kind of theme, and I'm loving it. It's very easy. I've got a rhythm down. So this has become my TV watching when I'm not really needing to pay attention to the pattern. I want to watch the show. Like right now, my husband and I are in the middle of watching Supernatural. We've never watched the show Supernatural. We're 5 seasons in. That's what I'm working on. So the Thisaway Shawl. I had down that I should be halfway through the shawl by the end of May, I want to say. Excuse me, the end of June. So like 50% by the end of June. I only got to like 20 to 25%. And I have down that by the end of July, I should be at 75%. I don't think that's going to happen, but you never know, because like I said, we've got vacation coming up, and I think this will be a good vacation project to take with me. So that may be happening. So the Thisaway Shawl, that is all done. The other work in progress that I have been working on, I can say I only put a couple of rows in, just enough to finish a pattern repeat, and that was it. I will say I kind of got annoyed because I missed a stitch or dropped a stitch. I had to fix it, and it's in brioche. Brioche sucks to try and fix. So my monthly goal on this shawl, the Flying Foxtail shawl, is to get 2 pattern repeats done a month. I only did 1 in the month of June. So here she is. Do I love it? Yes. Am I annoyed with it? Yes. So I have not done much with it. Still love it. Just annoyed. The Flying Foxtail wrap from Stephen West. And it is out of Suburban Stitcher single sock in the colorway Cinder, which is that really pretty gray. You can tell I kind of have a thing for that. And then the mohair is from Stellar Needlecraft, the Nebula lace in the color Midnight Blue, which I love. Love, love, love Midnight Blue. So my goal there is to get another 2 repeats done in July. I don't know if that'll happen. I might take this one with me on my trip too, just to have something to work on. We'll see. Because, like I said, it's been kind of just sitting, collecting dust for the last couple of weeks because I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed with it. And I have new shiny that has captured my attention. Something came out the other day. I think now it's been like 2 weeks since it came out. I am on Woolen Pine's Discord channel. And for those that didn't see the previous episode, earlier this year, I finished a Woolen Pine design, which was the Ponderosa sweater, and I absolutely love it. And part of what Woolen Pine does is they set up a Discord channel where you can ask questions and build a community, and there's just a lot of good that happens. And frequently, they will preview patterns that are coming out. And then they also, on their Discord channel, when they have a launch of a new pattern, will give the people that are in the Discord a discount code for the launch. And so they have put out, in the similar stitch patterns, several different designs. So like with the Ponderosa, there's the Ponderosa hat, and there's the Ponderosa sweater, right? And I think there's even a cowl. One of their patterns that they have was the sea glass tee. They came out with the sea glass cowl. And then just 2 weeks ago, they came out with the sea glass cardigan. I love this. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. My husband saw it and loved it too. So he immediately was like, I want that. I want you to make me that. Don't you have some yarn already set aside in like a burnt orange that's a sweater quantity? Yeah, I do. I do have that. I didn't buy it for you. And he goes, well, but what if I wanted that sweater? Could I use that yarn? Yeah, I guess. Because I'll just replace it when I'm ready for something else. He goes, yeah, you can do that. I want that. So is it the right size yarn? So the Sea Glass Cardigan calls for a DK weight yarn. And that's exactly what it is. It is a DK weight yarn. It is Tosh Merino DK, which is a single ply. Okay, it's not anything I've really worked with, a DK single ply, but he saw it and he immediately said, yes, please, I want that. And so he goes, you've got a ton of minis that you can use for this. That's for minis, right? All of the little like colors in it, that's all minis. And you've needed something to use them on. You've been collecting minis for years and you've not done anything with them. They're just sitting. You can see like right there, there's a whole basket full of minis. I said, yeah, I actually do. This would be great. You can hold fingering weight minis double to do the color part. He goes, okay, let's go through all of the minis. I will pull out the ones I want. How many do I get to pick? I said, it's not so much that it's an amount, it's that they have it by weight. And so you're going to need like 490 grams, I think it was 495 grams of minis. He goes, got it, let's do it. So this man went through and pulled all of the different colors that he liked. And he said, okay, make me a cardigan. I want one. And because it's the new shiny thing and, you know, I really want to do this, I started swatching that day to get gauge. One of the things that happened with his previous sweater, which all of the parts of it are right here, I need to redo that sweater. I may actually steal the yarn from that sweater for my sweater since he's stealing my yarn, but whatever. But anyway, one of the things that was a problem is when I gauge swatched for his sweater, I did not block my swatch. And it grew like crazy. It was way too long in the arms. It was too big in the body. It was just massive overall. And so I knew for this gauge swatch, especially for him, I needed to make sure I had an accurate gauge of a blocked design. So I started out with the called for needles and I made a swatch for it, and the swatch ended up being too small. There were too many stitches per inch. So I'm like, okay, well, let me go down a size, and I did that swatch too. And it was still too small. But I figured, okay, now is a good time to block it, to check it out and see what the finished blocked swatch comes out like. So my first swatch in the bigger needles looks like this. And I did this one with different colors each round, like the sweater kind of calls for. I wanted to practice the edging because it is a faux steeking technique so that you never have to do color work on the wrong side. And so I wanted to practice that, and you can tell it goes from very messy at the bottom to a lot better at the top. I figured it out by the time I got to the top of my swatch. Did I make a full 4x4 kind of swatch? No. Am I concerned about that? No. It was enough to be able to get gauge through the middle section and to check row gauge as well. So this is the first swatch I did. The second swatch is even smaller because I had figured out how to do the color work portion and all of that. And this one I was like, I'm not going to keep switching back and forth on the colors. I am just going to do one contrast color. And so this one, a lot smaller, but it is enough to be able to check the gauge of the stitch gauge and the row gauge and everything else. So both of these got blocked, and when I finished blocking, it dried, I measured it all, and lo and behold, this is the best one, the one with the called for needle in the pattern for me. Is it a perfect gauge swatch, like exactly her gauge? No, it's half a stitch off. But one thing that I do know is that it's gonna grow, especially with it being single ply on the main color. So I'm not too concerned. I think it'll grow a little bit more to where it will meet that gauge just fine. I did not aggressively block this. I just enough to like put it in place after when it was wet and let it dry, and it was fine. So I have started his sweater, and y'all, I had to rip it out once already. I already did. I was not reading the pattern well. I missed some slip stitches. It is what it is. But I am into the raglan increases, and I don't have much. That's it. Not a whole lot, but I'm loving it so far. You can tell the color work. So it has, like I said, it's got the faux steeking technique along the edge. That's why there's all of this noodle-like yarn on the end. And what you do afterwards, and I haven't looked too closely at the pattern, but it's an I-cord that goes up the inside of the cardigan, and then you go from there and you put the band or the shawl collar, whichever you choose. My husband has chosen the band. He doesn't know if we're gonna do buttons, but at least it'll just be a band, not a shawl collar. One of the things that I ended up doing with this is the pattern calls for markers to be labeled A, B, C, and D. And so I don't have labeled markers, and I didn't want to get confused. I didn't want to have to write all of that out. So I just went and got some of the little letter beads like people put on friendship bracelets and attached those to my little light bulb markers. So they're labeled for me. It works. So I will keep working on that. I think that this might be a little too complicated to bring with me on my trip. So I think this will be what I'm working on mostly at home instead of the others, since I think the others will be a little easier to work on. So there's that. So that is pretty much all my works in progress. So let's talk about some acquisitions that have happened. All right, so acquisition wise, I've got a little bit in the realm of cross stitch, and I've got a little more in the realm of knitting and crocheting. We talked about the yarn that I got from my local yarn store, my new local yarn store. Like I said, Craftique Studios. If you're in the Cypress area, go check them out. Grace is super sweet. So I got this. And then on the official grand opening day, I went to Craftique Studios, and I told my husband in advance, look, I'm going to be buying something specifically because I want to support and honor this brand new yarn store. Like, it's important to me that we have one in our community because the closest one to us is like 30 minutes drive away. This one is 10 minutes down the road from me. And she is open every single day except Monday. And she's got a ton of like sit and knit events and classes and things. She's still getting in lots of yarn, lots of materials. It's wonderful to have it in our community, and I'm super excited for her. So I got this yarn at the soft opening, and then at the grand opening, I went in and I purchased some yarn that I don't quite know what I'm going to do with it. But I have an idea. I have seen some sweaters, and I've got enough yarn for them. But I don't want to say what sweaters I'm looking at, because by the time I cast it on, I might have moved on from it. So Grace had made this poncho out of this yarn, and it is a fluffy yarn that's got a sparkle to it. And just seeing it worked up in the poncho that she made, I knew I had to get some of this yarn. So Here it is. It's called Fluffily. Let me turn it the right side. It's called Fluffily by Creative, and it is a DK weight yarn. There are 420 meters per cake of this yarn. And so because I want to make a sweater out of it, and I don't quite know which sweater pattern I will be using, I bought 1, 2, 3, and 4. Lots of yarn. And because I had purchased so much yarn at their grand opening, Grace makes these bags in-house, and there's yarn hanging off of this and it's all tangled, so I'm not gonna try and untangle it while I'm recording. I'll do that after. But she makes these cute little tote bags right there in the shop, and it's got her logo right here. And it just says, just a girl who loves yarn. And so this was my shopping bag. So with my purchase of these 4 came this adorable little bag. And, you know, if I don't bring the other items with me on vacation, maybe I'll bring this new yarn because it's already caked up for me. Easy enough. I don't have to worry about caking it. Maybe I'll figure out a pattern and maybe I will take it with me. We'll see. Who knows? But I'm excited. I love it. I love this yarn. It is gorgeous. I love that it is fluffy. I love that it is shimmery. And it is going to make the cutest top. The cutest. So look for something with that later on in the year. We'll see what happens. Other than that, in the fiber realm, the knit crochet fiber yarn realm, one of my good friends is the owner and dyer of Stellar Needlecrafts. Laura has been dyeing now for a couple of years, and she makes beautiful yarn. The midnight blue color in my Flying Foxtail wrap is from Stellar Needlecraft, and I have a ton of her yarn. In fact, she calls me her best customer because, y'all, I have so many colors of hers I buy all the time. And it's because she's not just my friend, she's also my neighbor. So it's like having a yarn shop right in my neighborhood. I mean, who can pass that up, right? So I absolutely love her yarn. I love her colorways. And she recently decided to venture into dyeing fiber to spin. One of my goals this year is to learn how to spin. I bought a drop spindle last year at DFW Fiber Fest, and I bought some fiber to go with it. It is, you can see some of the fiber right here in this little bag. That's some more kind of advanced fiber. It's got some sparkles in it and things, but I couldn't pass it up because it just called to me. And my mother-in-law always says, if you go back and touch something more than once, you got to buy it. So I did. And then this bag right here, right at the top, right there, is holding some more fiber that I bought from the apothecary at DFW Fiber Fest. And so, y'all, I'm lost when it comes to drop spindling, and it is not for lack of trying. So I am going to take a class at DFW Fiber Fest. But I really, really, really wanted to support my friend in her new part of her company, which was spinning fiber. And so just this past Saturday, she launched her first round of fiber, and there was one colorway that caught my attention that I was like, that's it. I want one of those. And so I picked it up last night, and it is so pretty. It is so pretty. This is Corriedale. It is 3.5 ounces of Corriedale, and the colorway is called Dusk. And all of these purples and blues and pinks just, oh, it is so good. So I cannot wait to learn how to spin. Eventually, I think I want to get an e-spinner. I've also been looking at a supported spindle. I think I might do better with a supported spindle than the Turkish drop spindle. I'm just not getting it with the drop spindle, but I'm going to take a class. I normally don't do classes because I've said before, I'm going to jump in with both feet and go to the most difficult thing kind of crafter. And normally I can work my way through it. I can't with this. I have tried. I am sucking it up real bad. So we're going to take a class and we're going to try and learn with some other hands in play. So we'll see what happens. But eventually I would love to get an e-spinner or even a spinning wheel. Something else. But I did pick it up and I love it. So there's that. Let's see. Cross stitch wise, I don't remember if I talked about this last time, but one thing, I didn't purchase this during this time period, but in cleaning at the end of the school year, as I was getting stuff organized and everything, I found a pattern that I had put away for safekeeping and forgot where I put it. I found it at the very bottom down here in my file cabinet underneath all of my files. It had fallen down at the bottom of the drawer, and in cleaning up, I found the pattern. And this is actually the original butterfly ball from Amy Stewart. It is the max color version, and I bought this paper pattern, paper at that. I don't even do patterns on paper, but I purchased this paper pattern from a place called ABC Stitch Therapy. It is a needle shop in the Houston, Texas area. It is North Houston off of FM 1960 and Walters Road. It is in an office building. It is difficult to find. And when I had first learned cross stitching back in 2021, I want to say it was 2021, I found it. I purchased this because I was like, oh, it's so cute with all the little like fairies and everything. And then I decided I wasn't going to start it for a while. And it was before I knew anything about Markabar XP or any other pattern keeper kind of app. And I was kind of daunted and knew I wasn't going to start it because I had the magic study at that point, and that was the next thing I was going to work on. And so I put it away for safekeeping and then promptly lost it. And then when the grand butterfly ball came out earlier this year, I got to thinking, I was like, wait, I have the original butterfly ball. Wouldn't it be funny to have both? So went looking, couldn't find it. Thought it might have gotten thrown away. No, it was just hiding from me. So I have this pattern for some time in the future. I will scan it in and I will put it in Markup RXP manually. But there it is. So I have that. Again, not a purchase, not something I bought during this time period, but something I found again. So in doing that, this year, I remembered, I was like, I got that from ABC Stitch Therapy. I wonder if they've got anything else going on. And I happened to be in the area, was it last week? I think it was last week. And so I was like, let me stop in. I am never over here, which is why I'm hardly ever going to these needle shops. Most of them are in North Houston that are the closest to me. And so I was like, I'm gonna stop in. I'm gonna see if they have a Nerge hoop, which I want to get a Nerge hoop. I have not found one locally. I still have another needle shop to go to find and look. But I decided that I would get another Q-snap. So I did grab another Q-snap while I was there. Other than that, though, that's all of the things I purchased that I remember. Doesn't mean that it's all of it, but all the ones that I remember. Other than that, I've been doing a little bit of looking at some brioche design stuff. Probably won't ever publish a pattern, but it's cool to kind of look at and make my brain think. Been doing a lot of reading, and like I said, still doing some work stuff. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments for me. I would love to interact with you. And if you haven't, please subscribe, like and subscribe, because that does help get this out. Because I don't have one specific niche. I'm not just like a knitter or crocheter or a cross stitcher. I'm kind of in the realm of all of it. I'm a crafter. And so sometimes it's a little more difficult to get the views, get the subscriptions. And I absolutely love what I do. So if you could help me out with that, I would appreciate it. So until next time, maybe beginning of August, after we get back from our trip, which I don't even know if I said, we're going to Washington, D.C. My husband is a supporter of the Wolverhampton Wanderers soccer team from the English Premier League, and they're having a game in Annapolis, Maryland at the end of July. And so he was like, we are going. And so we're making a whole little trip out of it. At first we were going to do a road trip, and I was going to take like all of the things. And we decided we're just going to go ahead and fly out, spend our time in DC for a couple of days. We have an inquiry in to go to the White House because we've never been to the White House. We've never done a tour. We've got a congressional tour lined up. We've got a lecture that we're going to attend at the Supreme Court. We're going to go to the Library of Congress. We're going to go to the Smithsonian's, several of them, because every time we have gone to DC, I've been working. And I haven't been able to do many of the museums. And if I did, I only got like 30 minutes to an hour. So I'm excited to go on this trip. I am looking forward to it. I just have to figure out what knitting I'm bringing with me. So I guess you will find out next time. Until then, bye.